Hello, welcome to True Hoop with me, Jarod, Hector, and Coach David Thorpe. How are you, sir?
Listen, it's chilly outside. It's holiday week coming. I got to see my son. I got a trip coming. Yeah, I got no complaints, my guy. How about you?
No complaints. A little programming note. We will have 2 episodes next week. David will be away, so he will not be on them, but I will be here with you. We've got 2 special guests lined up. We'll let you find out who they are when the episodes air next week. But we'll be
Awesome.
out. We'll have 2 episodes for you next week, talking all things NBA. Yeah, we are now, David. Most teams have played close to 20 games, right? Are we getting
20 games.
Close to 20 games, right? So we're at about that quarter mark where we can start to see things and say, okay, maybe this means something, maybe that means something. One of the challenges about doing anything like that, right, is that so many teams are not in their whole state, right, because of injuries. We'll talk about injuries a little bit later, and that could be skewing the numbers as well. One such team that is going through that is the Philadelphia 76ers. Reports came out earlier in the week that Kyle Lowry, noted NBA veteran, called a team meeting. And in that, first of all, team meeting, look, like whatever. It's David has worked with NBA players for a bazillion years, so these things don't move him. I've covered this league a long time. These things don't move me. But I know for fans, they're often, oh, wow, team meeting, what's happening, right? And often when they're early in the season, a lot of fans are like, what? Why are we calling meetings so early? What's going on? In that meeting, Tyrese Maxey told Joel Embiid, you're my guy, I love you, but it all starts with you. You set the tone, and it was relating to Joel not showing up on time for related team activities and events. And look, the Sixers are not playing well. They're 2-14,
2-12.
I mean, they're just not good. Look, to be fair, Joel's been out, Paul's been out. Like Maxey just got back. He was like, so that's that's to be understood. But I think these guys are all competitors, as we say on this podcast all the time. And they start to see the season is slipping away from them, right? Like, David, one of the things you like to do is say, in a golf tournament, it's not so much how many strokes you're behind, it's how many people you have to leapfrog to get into first place.
Yeah.
It isn't that they're like, oh my God, we're so far out of whatever. They're 12 or whatever teams ahead of them. That's to get into that top 4, which if you were to ask them to start the season, where do they think they would end up? They would say somewhere in the top 4. It's probably what they expected. Well, they got to leapfrog a lot of teams to get and need help to get up there, which, long way from there. But your first thoughts, David, on the team meeting, Tyrese telling Joel that it starts with you and you've got to set a better example, particularly when it's like, you got to show up on time, bro.
A couple of thoughts. So first of all, as you know, I've told you, I had one meeting with Tyrese when he was in college on the phone. And when I said, I think it'd be Kyle Lowry, he didn't love it, whatever. This reminded me a lot of Kyle Lowry. He's afraid of no man. Can't you imagine Kyle Lowry doing this?
Of course.
I can.
I'm sure he's done it. I'm sure Kyle's done it.
100. I know for a fact he has. So good for Tyrese. You use this phrase, not moved by. The reason why is because very little in life is affected by the flipping of a switch. You have to keep flipping it. And so it's good to acknowledge we have an issue we have to address, and we addressed it. Normally it requires, you can't just water your plants, say, oh, see you next year. No, your plants will die, right? Except it's a cactus.
Right.
And they're prickly. So you've got to keep doing this. You've got to keep holding Joel and others accountable. And to your point about the golf tournament, yeah, if the Sixers were in the 2nd seed, 7 games behind Boston or Cleveland for that matter,
right,
they'd be in a much better spot to feel like they can make a championship. They're still in the 2nd seed. They have a lot of teams they have to pass who are all pretty good. And there's no guarantee Paul George's going to get super healthy and Joel's going to get super healthy and Maxey's going to more or less stay healthy going forward. This could be another lost year. They're 14 games in. So, we're still a good week and a half away from everyone pretty much being at the quarter pole. And, but yeah, there's signs of discontent there. I'm glad you guys met, and I don't give a fuck anymore.
Right.
Because today's a new day. So how are we doing today and tomorrow? And normally if Tyrese is talking about the tardiness issue, my guess is there's deeper seated issues that aren't so easily addressed publicly. So Daryl Morey's got a mess on his hands. He's dealt with messes before. He's handled some of them really well. Nick Nurse has had messes before, not handled as well, following an amazing 2019 championship.
Yep.
They've got some work to do in Philly.
They do. And, whenever these things happen, it's always interesting when I see that various NBA newsbreakers, and I'm using quotes for those of you not watching on YouTube, sources say Nick Nurse and Daryl Morey's jobs are not in jeopardy and they're safe. David, whenever I hear somebody say
That's say that from their agent,
right, I'm like, are we sure about that?
That's coming from their agent,
right? Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Or somebody close to them saying, "Oh, they're fine."
Right.
I don't know that Daryl's job would be in danger.
Right.
He did hire Nick.
Right.
I think he hired Doc, and so they don't get a third chance. So that would mean if Nick was in trouble, that Daryl would be in trouble. I think Daryl shouldn't be worried. He would get hired immediately, in my opinion. Nick might be a little bit I don't know if he gets a third run at this.
Right.
After what's happened the last, basically recently in the last few years. Listen, Joel Embiid and Paul George solve a lot of problems.
For sure.
So we know the path to solution here.
Oh, yes.
Salvation.
Those guys playing. Duh. Yeah. We know that. Will they? I don't know. So I posed this question on Blue Sky yesterday, David, and I had some interesting comments from 76ers fans. Which is basically, what do the Sixers do now? Where do they go from here? And I wasn't asking it to sort of be like, oh my God, who do they trade? It's like, not so much that as much as it is, they made a bet. And the bet was, okay, we're going to try to extend Joel Embiid's prime and get another awesome all-NBA caliber player to pair with him and a young ascending all-NBA talent in Maxey. But those are huge bets on two players who are injury-prone being healthy. So if this indeed turns out to be a lost year, you're going to roll the dice again next year on a year older for both of them, and you're basically expecting the same thing. Well, this year they'll be healthy. Well, what evidence do you have that suggests that?
I mean, I have nothing to add. You nailed it. What evidence is there to things going to get suddenly better next year? This could be the last year.
Yeah,
I hadn't thought about it, Jarod, but you're right. If things don't go well this year, Daryl could say to the ownership, let me see what I can get for Joel. Let's just restart.
Yeah.
We're going to get a ransom. And Tyrese is young.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let Tyrese be our Shai Gilgeous.
Right. And that's the bet, right? Tyrese is the one, of course, you keep, even though I would argue, David, in the open marketplace, even though Embiid's the better player, a smart organization would give you more for Maxey than you would for Embiid, right? Why would I give up the farm for a guy who's proven he can't be healthy, even though he's an MVP and when plays could be the best player in the world?
Answer your own question. I want to hear what you said.
I mean, it's because of what I know and all the work that I've done with you guys, and I wouldn't do it because I'm like,
no, right. But answer the question as one of the 29 other teams.
But I'm going to do it because it's fucking Joel Embiid. Right? Like
someone's going to do it, right? Someone's going to. Meanwhile, we know what Maxey is. Jared McCain, who was also very high on the draft, is very good.
He is.
And 19 or 20 years old. Like, they could be an OKC type team if they trade those guys. Not Maxey, but the other two.
Yeah.
And someone will probably do it.
Yeah, someone will. And that,
I haven't thought about that, but I will. Because, we get into, I doubt it's going to happen this year. But, like, I could just see it. This is the last year we're doing it, Joel. If it's not working out, we got to move on.
If it's Christmas and nothing, and they're still exactly where they are, I have
that's
to.
before the trade. Now you're talking trade deadline.
Right.
That would be big. Yeah.
And it's like, well, what are we doing here? That's how I'm thinking about it anyway.
Interesting.
All right. Moving on to two players who David and I both had concerns with to start the season. And right now, through 14, 15 games, our concerns were justified and they're trending in bad directions and cause for alarm or concern. Maybe not alarm, concern, I think, for both franchises. One being Tyrese Haliburton, the other one being Jamal Murray. So Haliburton, he has 4 years and $200+ million left on his deal. He's only 24 years old. But David, his shooting numbers right now are all on track to be the worst of his career. Well, he's only 24 and his career hasn't been that long. But at 24, that's an alarming sign to see. When you watch them play basketball, I know you said you think it's just a mental thing with him, but what else are you seeing with Tyrese Haliburton?
I mean, I did the math this morning. First of all, the math is easy for this year: 28% from three, 31% since returning from injury last year, in like January 18, I think it was, on high volume. He's last in the league at percentile and efficiency at finishing at the rim, and he's bad from three. Well, that's a bad combination.
Yep.
And he shoots a ton of threes, over 8 a game. So he's a mess. They're better when he's off the court. One insider today told me, this is not a player, but someone who knows the Pacers well, just assumed something's wrong with him physically. That's not, I mean, I saw him have a big dunk the other day. I've seen him try harder on defense. That doesn't make me think that there's something wrong with him physically. I know he's got some back issues, but guys with back issues don't dunk on someone in traffic, and he did. He's done it more than once, and it's not a great dunker. So the fact that he did it almost feels like he's trying to prove my back is fine or my body's fine. He's just not good, and I don't know. I don't know what their answer is. They're built to have Tyrese. I mean, they're missing a lot of guys.
Of course.
Lamar's out.
Mm-hmm. Smith. Mm-hmm.
Backup Miles Turner is out. The backup to the backup of Miles Turner is out. They just signed Moses Brown. He'll probably be in the rotation soon. As a guy's been around and never done much. He's an athlete, but he's probably not an a good NBA player anyway. Mm-hmm. Enrique Freeman, the two-way player from Akron, started and played a lot the other night. They have a kid, Quentin Jackson, who played great yesterday for them. But he's a two-way player. They're trying to piece together with just a few guys that are really doing okay. Matherin's kind of a mess. He scores. People get caught up in his scoring, but he's a bad defensive player, kind of a culture sucker. Right now, he kind of shoots it a lot. It's just a mess. Mm-hmm. Tyrese solves a lot of problems, just like we're talking about Joel. Tyrese is playing. At least Joel's not even playing. I don't know what they do. I mean, if I was coaching Tyrese, I'd have to really think hard about what to do differently. But I wouldn't keep doing this. I think he's being told, just keep doing what you're doing, it'll come around. He's trying to shoot his way out of a slump. Okay. The slump is 50-some-odd games long now. It's not a week. He's been bad since January. With moments, he's not always bad. He's just often bad. I think yesterday he scored 4. 1 made shot yesterday.
Not good.
Not close to being his worst game. One of his worst, I think he said 3 or 4 worst ones. Maybe 2 or 3. I don't know the answer other than change some things that you're doing. If indeed he's healthy. If he's not, that's a different thing. If he's not healthy, stop playing.
Right.
Yeah, you got to stop playing. Yeah, it's just, if this guy had, I mean, I was watching many games yesterday.
Yeah, a lot of games.
And I now realize my brain is at a point where I've told you before, I tend to put the volume off. But I normally will have one volume on and the other 2 or 3 off, and maybe I'll switch a little bit. With 6 or 7 screens running, I'm at 0.
Yeah.
My brain can't do it. I'm not smart enough. I just got to watch the games and just have nothing sound. So on one of the screens I saw like some actresses and famous actors clearly in a commercial. And I look away and I kind of look back to see if the games come back on, and the commercial's still on, and I see Tyrese Haliburton. And I look away and I come back, and then he's in the commercial with some celebrities for Movado watches.
Oh, okay.
A friend of mine told me this morning they might be canceling that commercial soon. I don't know if it's true, but like, he's a mess right now, and they've got to. I mean, that team is based on that point guard being that point guard, and I don't remember Steph Curry ever going through something like this, and that's who he was playing like last year.
Yeah.
He's passing is down, his scoring is.
Yeah.
He's just, this is what you, as I like to say, you get paid the big bucks to produce. He's being paid to perform. And everyone in his life has to be rowing in the same direction. We got to get these young men on the right track, because he's off the track right now.
No, for sure. And you mentioned it because I was just going to say, okay, if he's not scoring, remember Tyrese Haliburton, at one point last year, was leading the league in assists. He's creating he's not doing that at a high level either.
Not even close.
So, okay, if you're not scoring, you're not helping to create shots for others, you're not defending well. I mean, so as you mentioned, they're better when he's off the floor because you are actually hurting this team. The problem with that is that he is a supermax player. So that slot that he occupies has to generate a lot of production. And if you can't just be like, all right, we'll just fill it with, there's nothing to fill it with. He has to produce. And I'm guessing it's a confidence thing maybe, because now you're saying it's going 50 something plus games. So if it's in his head, it's psychological now. Well, we got a whole other mess of problems we got to work through.
I'm assuming it's at least that, if not more. There could be the hamstring issue, which leads to the back issue. There's other things that it's possible. I just don't see it from an athletic standpoint. I got to believe it's a lot of it is mental. And again, given how many shots he's shooting from three, my guess is he's being told it'll come back. And the thing is, a lot of these misses are way off. Way off. I talked with Rick Carlisle specifically about the quality of what the miss looks like. I think he and I both agree that I know you guys know my Kevin Martin story.
Yep.
I've only rebounded a million of Kevin's misses in his 12-year career in the NBA plus 3 years in college in the offseason. And it was the easiest job in the world.
Because it would miss the same every time.
It just everything was in the paint.
Right.
Like he just didn't airball it and brick it, not wide open, just a gym by himself. This when I knew my son was coming around as a shooter, I didn't have to move very much. They're all right there. And Tyrese has some bad misses, wide open. Even the announcers are noticing, his own announcers, like Quinn Buckner is like, what is going on here? He's really off. Well, that was really open. He's really off. So something's going on.
Yep.
And again, it's probably not just mental. Not just mental, but a lot of it is. And this is a major issue the Pacers have to solve, because he got a supermax deal when he didn't deserve one. He was all NBA for half the year.
Right, not the full year.
And they still gave him all NBA for the whole year. And that was a mistake.
Yeah.
And the Pacers have to pay for it now. And they don't like paying for it.
Look, these are the things that David and I talk about all the time when we're talking about the NBA, how fast this stuff switches on a dime. This team was in the conference finals a few months ago. We were like, man, future looking bright. And that was we were like, oh, Tyrese didn't even play that well all postseason. Right? We're like, he gets himself back on, they're going to be good. Well, he hasn't, right? And yes, Andrew's out, and they've got Nesmith and all the injuries we mentioned, but still, in all, like, that's not where this team expects to be right now. And, things are fleeting. 1 minute, you're like, we have a runway for clear. We see ourselves being contenders forever. And then weird shit happens and not so much.
Yeah. So just as an example of that, years ago, I started a thing where I would buy an expensive bottle of, let's say, Reposado. Okay. And, as I've gotten older, I can spend a little more money on that bottle when it used to be, if I spent $50, it was like, oh my God, that's the most expensive I'll ever buy. So, and not that I drink expensive booze all the time. I don't. My favorite gin is $30, $25 for a bottle. Whatever. So, and I'll make myself a special drink. Like every Thursday night, like tonight, if I don't have a lot of games, which I don't, I'll make a Godfather, which is not a gin or anything, for my dad. It's my brothers do it too, whatever. So, but I do open up the expensive bottle for a big event for my business. But Jarod, not for a big scoring game from one of my players.
Yeah.
Or a great performance. Never. Because tomorrow could be a fucking hurricane again. So in business, when you close a deal or a major thing happens, celebrate. The next day is a new day. It's not that I think I'm jinxing. I don't think there's any God up there puppeteering everything. I just know you scored 50, great. Tomorrow might be a fucking hellscape, you know? Yeah, it's fucking hard. Like you said, time. It's just fast and furious, and our fragile bodies, fragile egos.
Yeah, for sure, man. This is a guy.
In contracts.
Yeah, this is a guy.
It's hard.
At 20, was he 23? He was 23 when he got the deal last year?
I think he's 24 now.
Okay,
yes.
so 24 now.
He was 23 when he got the deal. You're right.
On top of the world, right? Oh my God. We
one of the biggest superstars in the league.
We were saying before he went down, we were like, this is all NBA first team caliber production. Like, he was, with him and Shea, they were the best guards in the league. We were like, well, they got it, right? And then you get hurt, the hamstring, have not been the same since. Like, He may, I mean, look, I'm not saying this because I don't know. He may never reach those heights again, David. That's in the realm of possibility.
I think it's an absolute concern. When you said concern, not alarm in Indiana, I don't know that you're right.
Okay, you might be alarmed. Okay.
No, they might be alarmed.
Yeah.
You're not stupid for what you suggested. You don't want to show it.
Right.
But like I gotta believe they're like, oh my fucking God, make a fucking shot, dude. You know, we all say that kind of stuff. We'll make more than one anyway. Because he made one last night. One.
Yeah.
You know? It's for that money, like who's got a worse contract based on how they're playing now?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, not including the players that aren't playing at all, or barely playing.
Correct.
Kawhi is being overpaid.
Correct, but he's
for
not
what he's doing for the Clippers right now.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Considering the age and how much time is left on that deal. Yes.
Right. So conversely, maybe because he's young, like he has plenty of time to find his.
Right.
We know he can do it, which is super important to me.
Yep.
I saw a player. Oh shoot, David. Isaiah Wong had 41 points yesterday in the G League. I don't remember who he plays for. He used to play for the Mad Ants because he was a two-way player for the Pacers. I went blank on who he plays for now. So great. The G League always has guys that do this once in a while. When they start doing it consistently, they don't stay in the G League much longer. At least they shouldn't anyway. Right. There are exceptions because teams are, in my opinion, NBA teams can be stupid. This is a trend that's going on for a while, not for Tyrese, but he proved for seasons that he has a chance to be elite, and for a few months, elite. So seasons of looking like he might be elite, and then a few months, October to December, where he was elite. And then, boop, off a cliff.
Yep.
Hamstring injury, all done. With some moments in the playoffs that were great, mostly average. This year, worse. He's actually gotten worse from last year. Didn't play in the Olympics. Now we know why.
Yep.
Right? We all thought it was protecting his hamstring, whatever. Steve Kerr would have played him if he was worthy of playing, it looks like to me now. And so back to the drawing board, which is what you got to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, make your commercials, Tyrese, to make all the money you can. But this is how your bread's buttered.
Yeah.
And he's got to find a way to be successful at that again, which is not easy.
Got to get it. He's got to get this out of the mud, right? And that's how so many of these players make it. Get back in that mud and grind it out. The other player in a similar scenario, at least contract-wise, Jamal Murray, the Nuggets, 4 years, $207 million on his deal, which begins next year, right? So that's 4 years he has.
What was it? 4 years, how much?
$207 million. He is 27.
Yeah.
And not 24 like Tyrese.
And never an all-star.
Never an all-star.
A champion,
had playoff moments and a run on the year when they went to the title, but for a consistent season, right, has not put together an all NBA light or type of season, right? We haven't seen that. And I said, this is the year we have to kind of see that from him, right? Like if he's like that, they'll be okay. David, he is on track to have the worst shooting numbers since his rookie season. And anytime when a player this age and you start seeing things like worse since rookie season, alarm bells going off. I'm like, what's up? And he is not a big guard. And he's not overly athletic. And so alarm bells on this one. I'm very concerned if on the Denver Nuggets right now.
So we wrote 2 years ago, maybe in December, that I wrote Jason Tatum's going to be just fine. He's just shooting poorly, but getting great looks. I feel that way about Tyrese in the sense of he's getting a lot of wide open shots.
Just missing them.
Just missing. He can't make a shot at the rim. That's more concerning. And so that's a big reason why I have some alarm about Tyrese is it's not just his three that's not falling. Nothing is falling. And he's lost confidence. And that's just not easy to get back. Jamal, we could say the same thing. His steady diet of long twos aren't going great for him. And yet he's at one of the highest numbers in the league. Overall numbers of shots that he takes are from long mid shots. His best run was when they didn't make it to the finals. Might have been the bubble when he just remember he kept scoring 50 a game.
Torching.
Donovan Mitchell was doing the same thing. That was a while ago. 3-4 years ago now. We've noticed this trend for a bit, and that team is desperate for him. The difference between him and Tyrese is they have Jokic, and I mean Siakam's been Indiana's best player maybe all NBA level, maybe Jokic is the best
world's best player. Yeah.
So so you have a huge advantage with having him. And nevertheless, I just don't think they get far without Jamal playing much, much better.
No, and it's worth noting, Jokic has missed the last 3 games. He's been out with personal reasons. And you are seeing now, and look, of course, you take away the world's best player. Duh. Yeah. Like, they're not as good. But you are seeing the clear warts that Murray has now, right? Because Jokic is not papering those things up. And the team's warts, right? And so this is concerning. And, Jokic could, what does he look around and say if they have a really bad year? Is he like, or he's like, when I play, yeah, we win, whatever, but I've got to expend so much energy for us to do this. And by the time the playoffs roll around, I'm dead because I got to carry all this weight, right? These are the cumulative effects we're talking about. And I just don't know that. And for Murray, he's had a number of lower extremity injuries, right? That have probably zapped his athleticism and some of that separation he's able to gain. And in this league, if you have a little bit less opening and a little bit less space, like, that's a huge thing, right? That can affect stuff.
Not to pat us on the back, so to speak, but when we publish stuff, we try to be accurate. Mm-hmm. We're not looking to be sensational. I don't think anyone was looking to read a Haliburton Murray is struggling in preseason article. No. We're just trying to write what we see. At least that's mm-hmm. what Henry and I always do. And we weren't wrong. This was a problem in the preseason. I just found the article today, just to kind of look at what I wrote. Mm-hmm. We saw an issue, and it just hasn't turned. It can. We're hoping it does. Mm-hmm. This is the ups and downs of the league. The roller coaster exists whether you want it to or not. Right. They're currently in a bad place right now, both of them, and we're hoping for something different. The whole discussion needs to be on, and we've written articles in the past about it, like I did one on Ben Simmons. Mm-hmm. That clearly wasn't subscribed to. There's ways to guess how to get out of this bad place. That doesn't mean it'll happen. Right. And the franchises are basically, in a sense, beholden to how those guys are doing, because Jokic's going to do so much.
And I'll tell you what I know for sure both those players need. And I'm not saying they're not getting it, but they need their franchises to give them a ton of what David Thorpe calls royal jelly. Right. And just getting them, connecting with them on a human, emotional, personal level, find out whatever's happening, because there could be things going on in their personal lives that we just are not privy to. Right. And
typically that's the case. They're human beings.
Right. And so
I would add this. I want to add something to that, though. So you're totally right. But I also think they need a plan.
Mm-hmm. And a plan.
And this is where I think teams, and I don't want to go into detail, and you know how I am. Right. I'm private about my stuff, but I mean, I have a lot of clients. I didn't used to. I didn't because I had kids to raise, and mm-hmm. I don't anymore. And honestly, if I could add 5 coaches, I could add probably 50 players. I'm not even exaggerating. There is such a need for this. And so because of it, I have insight to what's really going on behind the scenes. And also in the player, to your mm-hmm. point about the personal lives. But these players need a plan. Like if someone's in quicksand, you don't just yell at them, get out, get out, get out. Right. They're just going to panic even more. Right. No, you need, as a father, you could be an uncle too, or just a mentor to young people. No, you have to be cool and composed. And this is what we're going to do. And if it's not working, let's pivot. Let's try this. But you can't panic. Yep. And I don't necessarily think these teams are panicking, nope. At least publicly. But I also don't think necessarily are giving these players a path. I agree. To find more success. And that's what they need to do. And that's what both these players need. That's why I always tell these players, you have to have your own team. Financial team, legal team, social media team. Like there's lots of teams, mm-hmm. all under the umbrella of you being the CEO / founder of the company. And the team, need to come together. Sometimes it might just be your eating habits. Seriously. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it might be your sleeping habits. And on from there. They need some intervention that way. Because it's not just going to happen magically. There's no flip your switch. You're not going to suddenly make it 3. Oh, he's back. Right. It sounds great. That's how the movie version is. Right. And these announcers, I listen to these teams. Right. That's what they say. It's not just these 2 players. Yeah. Oh, here we go. He found it. He made a shot. Exactly. He just made a shot. Yeah. They both have made shots. They're just not making many of them.
My favorite is when a team, like 2 different players on the same team, hit consecutive threes, and it's like, oh, the floodgates are open now. Now everyone's going to hit. I'm like, is everyone so sure about that?
Well, yeah, you are. They're not.
All right, folks. We'll be back after a brief commercial break. All right, David. On to more happier news.
Yeah.
Los Angeles Lakers fans, David, are over the moon. Now, listen, I'm not picking on my Laker fans out here, but
No.
they tend to get so excited about things, and right, it's either super excited about something, or the world is falling apart and they're going to jumping off a cliff. Right? It's always extremes.
But to be fair, that's every fan.
That's the life of a fan, right? It's just constant extremes. Right now, they're on the good side of that. And it is Dalton Knecht, and it's like, this guy is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I can't believe.
Are they saying that really?
Oh yeah, they can't believe.
Are you getting this from Blue Sky?
Blue Sky from people I know in real life, IRL, as the kids say, who are actual Lakers fans. They're like, Jarod, how did 16 teams pass? I'm like, guys, teams do dumb shit all the time. You know this. Like, I tell you all the time. Like, it's not first of all, not an exact science in picking talent. Not everyone's good at identifying. Like, there's a million different reasons why this happens, right? We didn't see a need, this, that, and the third. He was terrible in his individual workout, but great in 5. There's a million reasons why things don't work out the way they do. But be happy that your team got him. On 5 attempts from 3, or 4.9, just about 5, he's shooting 46% for the season. So people are like, holy shit, this is amazing, blah, blah, blah. But my good buddy, David Thorpe, always tells me, Rod, curb your enthusiasm, my friend. Like, it's all good to be excited. Yeah, but, just settle down for a minute and let's just, So I would love to know, what are your sharp and critical coach's eyes seeing from Mr. Dalton Knecht?
I'm going to be so disappointing to you right now.
You're like, nothing. He's perfect.
No, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to tell you that, he's a rookie and it's not even 20 games in.
Correct.
And so, yeah, you shouldn't, I wouldn't be thinking all-star. If you knew you had Duncan Robinson on your team, I don't think you'd be thinking all-star.
Right.
But they're right to think, what the fuck were these? So he was the SEC Player of the Year. Mm-hmm. And I didn't follow it last year. I'm following college more closely this year, at least so far anyway. I don't think it was close. And the SEC was loaded. Mm-hmm. A bunch of really good players in that league. And this guy dominated. And it's something my brother Mike and I have laughed about. I think the first time we talked about was Tony Allen. For, where did Tony go to college? He was in the Big 12.
Yeah. Oklahoma State?
Maybe so. He's definitely Big 12. I think it's Big 12 Player of the Year. He got drafted 20-something, I think, by Boston. And Mike and I were talking, this is one of the best leagues in the country. He's super athletic with a super hot motor. He has figured out a way to dominate a great league. He's probably going to end up being a good player for a long time. No, Dalton Knecht, who actually had a skill Tony doesn't have, which was shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We need that. And to Dalton's good fortune, he's playing with this brilliant fucking passer.
Yes.
And
this is the thing.
I watch a lot of basketball. And the number of bad shots that we see in college, in the G League, and sometimes the NBA, not as often, but definitely the case that it happens, it's hard for me to swallow. What are we doing as coaches allowing these terrible shots? And then I see LeBron James and I just breathe easy. And he's going to be famous and known for a lot of things for a long time. But to basketball purists like myself, we're always going to appreciate his willingness to make the right play. He doesn't always make it immediately because he doesn't fucking have to. He can take the extra 6 dribbles like Chris Paul could and Steve Nash could back in the day and let something else develop, and it's going to be beautiful. And he has no problem finding Dalton Knecht, who can really shoot. Meanwhile, he had multiple dunks in the game yesterday. Great cuts off reads.
Mm-hmm.
He's athletic.
Mm-hmm.
He plays hard. He can really shoot. He's got good size. I don't know what teams were thinking. Let me rephrase that. I do know what they were thinking.
Yeah.
And we're going to be writing with this, I think, next week. They think they all have to find the next Jokic or Dame Lillard,
right?
Or the elite of elite.
We're going to find them, dude.
Well, if you do, it'd just be pure dumb luck.
Right.
It's like we used to go, when I was growing up, I don't think people do this anymore. Maybe they do. My parents, we didn't have a lot of money. My dad was, an average attorney, and he had 4 kids. So we were very middle class. So we would go to North Carolina on a way to some trip somewhere. We go to the mountains. and we go to some place where you could mine for jewels.
Nice.
You ever done this?
I've heard. I've never done it, but I know what you're talking about.
I don't know if they do it. It's like the same. So you pay whatever you pay. I was a kid, and you get the big bucket of dirt.
Yep.
And you sift through it, and we did find little rubies, little sapphires. I mean, probably wasn't worth 11 cents.
Right.
But we got ruby that you couldn't even barely see, right? And I don't think we found anything but rubies and sapphires. Maybe other things. Who knows? It all could have been a scam. I really don't know.
Right.
But this is what happens sometimes where you do draft a guy 16th or 21st or Giannis, and it turns out to be the gem, or you develop them, which is, I think, more importantly the point, as you know. But a guy like Knecht, to me, at the very least, you're getting an elite shooter that proves he can win against NBA-level athletes and talent repeatedly. He's on a great Tennessee team, one of the best teams in the country. I like those forwards. Listen, I'm dumb enough to have said J.J. Redick should have been considered going number one. I had not seen Dwight Howard play.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know how good Dwight Howard was. He was a high school kid back then. But for all the other guys, I thought he should be at least in the running for it because I knew he was going to be one of the best shooters in the league that plays super fuck competitively, high IQ, tough as fuck. You're going to draft him. And I have not gone back to look at it. It might have been the 04 draft. Yeah. I had a player in that draft. Whatever the Dwight Howard draft, I think it was 04. Mm-hmm. I don't know where he ranks, but I'd be shocked if he isn't top five.
Yeah.
And I don't think he went top five.
No.
Dalton Knecht. Iguodala was in that draft. You could maybe argue Iguodala had a better career. I'm not sure how right you are.
Right.
They won the championship when he was with Golden State.
Right.
Even before that.
Right.
Yeah, JJ might have won some with Golden State too. So Knecht, the LA did a good job drafting him, and more importantly, empowering him. Shoot your shot, my guy. Shoot your shot. LeBron needs you to do it.
Yep.
And he doesn't fuck with dumbass rookies.
Right.
You got to be professional. Mm-hmm. He's 23. Maybe he's 24 now.
That's the piece I wanted to hammer, David. I feel like a lot of teams often shy away from the 22, 23-year-old senior because they're like, well, if they're already good, they would have already come into the NBA. I'm like, that might be true, but
might have been true.
It might have been true, but here's the thing. And it's not always a direct one-to-one, not always the case. But to me, if you're 22, 23 coming out, there's a level of knowing how to play 5-on-5 that I imagine you have that an 18 or 19-year-old probably doesn't have because you've got the reps and experience. And if you were player of the year on a good team that was well coached, I got to think you have some level of basketball IQ.
Right. Used to be that they said that. But now, and it's starting last year, and it's going to get more, they're just choosing to stay in the professional league that they're in. So I have a player that I'm helping in college. He's very good. He's a teenager. When I say very good, he's already making six figures. I don't remember how much he's making this year, but I know what the new offer is for next year now. Mm-hmm. The team that currently employs him, because that's what they are,
right?
The team that currently employs him is guaranteeing him more money than NBA two-way players will make next year.
I would stay.
And by the way, you still get a scholarship. So you still get money every month for your room and your board, your housing, and your food and all that, and your books, and you're not really having to go to school.
Right.
And you have a gym at your pleasure all the time, whatever. I mean, maybe you stay. That's why you go through the process and you see what the teams say. In Dalton Knecht's case, I'm sure they paid him pretty well to be at Tennessee. And obviously it worked out pretty well for him. But even if that wasn't necessarily the case and money wasn't involved, I think, and I'm going to write about this coming up, I think maybe even this week. If I'm writing this week before I travel, I'm not sure. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll have a week off. I don't know. I haven't had a vacation in a long time. I'll find out from Henry this week what I have to do. But it'll be my next article, I think, is the need for the guards that can guard elite scorers. Mm-hmm. That's all I'll say.
Yep.
But to the point on Dalton, you as a team, especially a team trying to win, if you're drafting the Rob Dillingham, hoping 3-4 years down the road he can be that guy, well, that means you have an empty value for a player you're paying millions of dollars to, not 1 million, millions. Mm-hmm. Not because he's a first-round pick. I'd rather pay the veteran who can come in and play right away, like some of these young, older guys can. Mm-hmm. And I mean, OKC can't get AJ Mitchell out of the lineup. He's a 22-year-old Belgian kid who played at TC Santa Barbara, who's on a two-way. And they can't get him out of the lineup. He comes in game for Caruso a lot of times. Yeah. He's playing the fourth quarters of important games because he knows how to play. Now, when he was 19, no one was going to draft him. And if he was 19 now, he wouldn't be good enough probably. He's old enough. So I think we're going to see a swing to teams saying, we've more, unless we think this guy is 19, but he's a can't miss surefire all-star. We'd rather have the guy that we know can be a solid veteran for us, and we're getting value for the money we're paying for him now.
Yep.
Especially for teams outside the lottery looking to be contenders.
Yeah, I love something you said last week about, young players and, rookies in the NBA. And you mentioned Dalton has the joy of playing with LeBron and Anthony Davis. And you were like, look, if you cannot play with the world's best players, well, then you can't play because they make the game easy, right? Like if you cannot play with, and again, I'm sure out of every 100 passes he gets from LeBron, 1 or 2 are not in the perfect shooting pocket, but the other 98 probably.
I'm not so sure.
And maybe not. Maybe all 100 are. So and you're wide the hell open. Like, it's, it's pretty easy playing with those guys.
And that's to be fair. I just watched all of his shots today. You still got to make them.
Correct.
Everything you say is right. You still got to make them. And long, tall dudes are angry and contesting you and all that. And you're playing with LeBron, and that can't intimidate you.
Sure.
And he doesn't look intimidated.
Yeah.
He one of his shots was a heat check, which I don't love heat checks.
Right.
Normally, all they're doing is you're asking for a cold streak coming. But he fucking nailed it. He nailed it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he went crazy in the third quarter.
Yeah, he did. Listen,
he's 37 in the game. Yeah.
He's playing well. Lakers fans, just, look, as David always says, failure's baked into this game. The streak is coming where the shot's not going to fall for whatever reason. How does he manage the failure, right? Like, does he keep level head, keep working, keep doing the things, keep his confidence high?
And he's doing good defensively. Does that last? A lot of players don't handle success great. I have no idea if Dalton
How do you handle success?
Great.
Right.
Yeah, they get casual. They stop paying attention to details. They worry about their next commercial or where's my next marketing deal. Like, I love the players who, man, they just want to hoop. They just want to hoop and get better. The rest of the stuff is small money compared to what you can make as an NBA player. So just focus on that. That's what I think anyway.
And let me tell you, if this shooting is real and he's going to make a lot of money in this league for a long freaking time.
Just 40%'s enough.
Yeah. You don't got to be this good. He can be 39. He doesn't even be 40. He's going to make a shit ton of money in this league. So kudos, Lakers fans. Enjoy. David, a story that is near and dear to both of our hearts. Well, the player is near and dear to my heart because the team he plays for. The story of player development is near and dear to your heart because this is what you do for a living. Jake LaRavia, Memphis Grizzlies, was a player. I believe he was drafted in the first round 3 years ago.
Yeah, Wake Forest.
Out of Wake Forest, 17th or 18th pick. Like most rookies, atrocious in his NBA minutes rookie year. He was in a 4th percentile in EPM, which means you are one of the worst players in the league. Yeah. Fucking terrible.
96% is better.
Yes, you are abjectly horrible. He was in the G League a ton, which is where you should be because you got to get your reps, as David always says, and learn.
Yep.
Last season, he spent a lot of time in the G League as well, but because of all the injuries in Memphis, he had to play with the big guys also as well. And he had 35 games where he averaged 26 minutes a game or whatever. And in EPM-wise, he got up to, I want to say, like the 45th or 50th percentile. So from 4, that is a monumental jump. David, I was looking at his numbers this year. All advanced metric, and it's early so far, say career highs in every advanced metric, all the raw counting stats. And he is 7th in minutes per game on the Grizzlies, which means he's a full-on rotation player now.
Yeah.
What? And I watch Grizzlies games. He makes winning plays. He helps them win possessions. He can shoot. Like, he was defending Paul George last night. Like, David, he looks like an NBA player. And it's kind of amazing to see someone when they go from 4th percentile to, look, an NBA rotation player.
Do we have the percentile? I know we can't read EPMs anymore.
Yeah.
I can't anyway.
Let me pull them up right now.
I don't know how they do it. I'm sorry. I'm just dumb. I don't get dunks and threes anymore. I don't know what they're doing.
I know it's more predictive now than like what, so it makes it a little bit harder to read. But LaRavia now, let's see where he jumped up to. He went from, I was even more 2nd percentile, which is fucking terrible. Last year, 47th percentile. This year, 62nd percentile.
That's where he is right now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So there's so many attributes to this game. I was watching a college game the other day, and there was a player that was just beautiful in screen navigation. And then he's a guard. He guards point guards and some 2 guards. And then he's off the ball, and his guys in the dunker spot. A lot of teams will put their player in a dunker spot if they're a guard, because that means the rim protector is also a guard.
Yep.
And he's Draymond Green back there. He's quarterback and he's moving guys around. And then a couple of times he gets a rebound, and then the second he gets it, boom, he hits it ahead 50 feet for a guy to score. Like, that dude is doing all the little things, and he scored in the game, but he had no points on these possessions and had a huge impact on winning. And our rotation players should all be able to just kind of fit in. I was telling another story, and it's not about Jake, but it's the same idea. I saw a player who's been historically bad, but he's young. He's 22, I think. And this player raced back on defense, they were throwing a long pass. He stole it. As soon as he landed, he turned around and took one dribble, and he had to go three-quarter court to go the other way. And my thought was, knowing this player, he's just going to dribble into traffic because he thinks he earned the privilege of taking a bad shot, which a lot of these guys do.
Right.
And instead, he literally one dribble, boom, he threw it across court with zip to a teammate wide open for three. The guy missed it. This guy came in, got the big rebound, put back and one. Like, the and one is fine.
Right.
The steal and the pass, race back on defense, and get off the ball. Like, it's one game of 5-on-5. Let's figure out who's got the best shot here. And so when you do that on both ends, you're helping the helper defensively. You're in your spots defensively. If you're supposed to go under the screen, go under the screen. If you're supposed to go over the screen, go over the screen. If you're supposed to get your guy to reject it, make him reject it, and vice versa, right? Throw the ball where you're supposed to throw it to. Cut when you're supposed to cut. Screen the right way. Don't turn the ball over. Don't pick up stupid fouls. One of my players last night was defending a hard dribble attack. And this is a rookie. And he likes to try to make a play on the ball because he's a rookie.
Right.
And that becomes a foul.
Right.
And so last night, as he's sliding in this fast drive, his arms are wide. At the end, he kind of talls up. The guy misses, and I texted him the clip this morning. My assistant found the clip and sent it to me, and I sent it to the player and said, like, I got emotional watching this. And he really does. He goes to swipe, and then he just stops. Like, that's the discipline.
Yeah.
Okay? That's the instinct of wanting to run across the road when you're two and then learning, oh, I may get flattened. You learn the game. Jake is learning the game.
Yes.
He's learning how to play with those guys and what he can do well. And what he doesn't do well, he keeps on the back burner. That's what the offseason is for, or practice on your own. I tell players all the time, you don't have another job. This is it. So you can work on the other parts of your game that isn't good enough to bring to prime time yet, and maybe one day it will be.
Yep.
Right? Until it is, keep it behind wraps.
That's
right? Don't bring it out early.
All the things you're talking about with your players that you've mentioned in those couple sequences are what I'm seeing from Jake. All the help and the helper, being in the right spot defensively, getting off the ball. But then when he gets it wide open in the corner, shooting it with confidence, like, it's just, I'm like, wow, you really, like, you know, like, imagine for you when you watch your young guys get to this point, you're like a proud dad, like, oh, look, they know what they're doing. Like, they're learning. Like, you see them learn. It's amazing, right? Because they have no fucking clue when they first get there. It's like, nope, bad, all bad. But it's amazing.
There's so many facets to the game, too, because, like, with my son, learning the game wasn't the challenge. Because of me and all he knew how to play. I mean, from ninth grade, his varsity coach, who's a terrible person and coach, but had been around the game forever, played in college. He said all the assistants one day, like, how the fuck is Max Thorpe a freshman? Because Max just what happened was Max was practicing with the varsity on one side, and the other ninth and 10th graders were on the other side, and they're a bunch of slapstick kids fucking around. And Max is playing with a bunch of 18-year-olds, one of them 6'10",
right? And
he just fits right in. That's when he said that. But for me, I got a clip from he was in Atlanta playing in a tournament. I didn't go to all of his tournaments because I have a life.
Right.
I don't want my son to think that my own life is following him around. So he went to Atlanta, he went to New Orleans, all sorts of places for AAU. I didn't go any of those places. And I got a clip from one of the coaches from the older team who had the game tape, and it was a loose ball at half court, and near like the top of the key for the basket they were shooting at Max at half court. And there's a couple of guys are running for it, and fucking here's Max at 15, 16, racing, diving, grabbing it, turning, flipping it to a guy for a layup real fast. And that's when I thought, oh boy, we have taken a jump here. He had dove before,
right?
But that was a reckless play.
Right.
And he wasn't afraid of that pretty little face he had. And then, unfortunately, later that summer, he broke his collarbone diving. A guy jumped on him. Different story. But still, everyone has different things. Some guys in the NBA don't play with physicality. They fit great their skill set's great, their craft is great, their knowledge and IQ is great, their feel is great, but they just aren't tough at the point of attack. And so that becomes where we can judge them. Ooh, he really got tough there. He took a charge. He set a bone-crushing screen. He got up from a bone-crushing screen and got himself back in the play, right? He didn't sulk after he missed a shot. Everyone's got different things. In Jake's case, of having watched him some when he was at Wake and after, like most guys, he just, where's my place in this? And understanding that you're not the best player on your team.
Correct.
So hard to swallow that.
Sure.
Like we talked with Darius Garland. Like, I've always been the best, and I got to play with fucking Donovan Mitchell, who's just better than me and almost everyone else on the planet. That's an ego. That's a hit.
Yes.
Yeah.
It takes a while to adjust to that, man.
Right. Nobody wants to date the girl that was just dating the most handsome guy in the world. Right? That's fucking, how do I live up to that? I'll never be that guy. You got to find other ways. Well, you got to find other ways, Jake.
Yep.
You're not Ja.
Right.
You're not Triple J.
Right.
You got to find your place and embrace it. And when you do that and help you win possessions, like now we got to ramp up, right? Now we can start climbing.
Sure do.
And so it's a good success story for the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
This is what you're supposed to do. Draft a guy and develop him. And don't be in such a rush.
And I think that hopefully, David, is your hope anyway, that will become commonplace, that it's not right. This is what we should do. Every team, this is what you do. You draft your guy. Here's our plan. As David said, it's not just get better. What is our plan to get better?
Yeah.
Here it is. Let's tweak it. Let's do this. Let's do that.
Yeah, I think I just, I don't credit the Grizzlies because I don't know. Right. It may be that they're doing it. It may be Team LaRavia is doing it. Yeah. It may, a lot of these teams like agencies will recruit a bunch of guys, throw them all against the wall, and whoever sticks, that's our guy. Yep. The other guys are in Poland. Yeah, no one asks about them anymore. They're forgetting a couple of years. Right. NBA teams are guilty of that a lot too. I will tell you this, and I'm happy to say it publicly, because I know NBA people listen to this, and I'm friends with a lot of them in the league. The Thunder are running circles on y'all. They are. They're so good. I'm telling you, I've talked to players there who will say, I spoke to Mark the other day, or I spoke to Mark yesterday, and I'm like, what? I'm not joking when I say this. I know. What did you just say to me? Yeah, I was talking to Mark, and I'm like, you're talking to the head coach? You're just a scrub, But they've got it. Sam Presti, good for you. You've done a hell of a job. And I talked to a father of a very good NBA player this morning, and he's just beside himself. Like, how are these coaches not talking? He actually knows a lot of NBA players, friends of his son. How are they not talking to these? They're just not doing it. I said, well, I told them one coach is for sure. And I mean, David, it's such low-hanging fruit. Mike, what does it cost you to talk? What does it cost you to talk to they're your player? For God, what does that cost you, literally? Yeah. Nothing. Right. Just some time. Matter of fact, it is in your job description. So. Listen, I don't want to go too detailed about it, but I was telling my wife the other day, I need to hire more help for sure, especially because I want her to enjoy her life, whatever. But the one thing I'm going to struggle with is I need to be the voice they talk to, and I like it. And maybe one day they won't want to talk to me, and then it'll be easy for me to move on because they don't want to talk to some old guy. But even these 20-year-olds, like, Coach, can we talk today? A player called me texted me after his game was over. I texted him some notes after the game. I said, we'll talk tomorrow. And he texted me, can we talk tonight? And so they need it. They need fresh voice and guidance and concern and compassion. And I don't know why. This guy that I talked to is a CEO of something. And he's like, I have to talk to people all the time. Yes. I just can't be the boss. Right. That's the job, man. It's missing. It's just missing. And like I said, the Thunder, it's amazing what the Thunder are doing. It is. Given they've got some injuries. Yeah. And they're young. But they're doing a lot of other things better than everybody else. A lot of royal jelly down there in Oklahoma City. And look, folks, I've said this before with David on the pod. You guys have heard me before. And I don't say it just because it's here, but it bears noting. When I talk to players that are David's that he works with, and I just say David's name, these guys' faces light up like fucking Christmas. Yeah. They love him, and it's because it's genuine. They know that this is a dude who gives a shit about me as a person. Yes, basketball, but cares about me as a person. And you can tell by the way they talk about him. And like,
that makes all the difference in the world. And all these guys are performing well at various levels and like, super max guys and all this stuff. Like, and David's a big reason for that. And like, look, he doesn't have the market corner on this. It's like coaches, man, like get to know your players, give a shit, just show you give a shit about them. Like we all need that in life.
Yeah. Here's what that means. I'm not going to make it personal. When a player is struggling, just text him. Hey, can we talk? They can always say no. That is not my experience. They don't say no.
Right.
They need help. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You would do it to your children. Yeah. You would do it to your friends. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't got to try to solve their problem first. Let's just talk. And like I said, the OKC guys they're doing what they're doing, man. It's they're just a fucking joyous team to watch.
They're a fun crew.
By the way, Jalen Williams did not have a good start to the year, and I did not have the volume on last night, and I wasn't paying that close attention. But I just kept looking at him making fantastic plays the whole game. Like that dude he's going to get a max deal. That dude is fantastic.
Yeah. I'm loving what they're doing, even with Chet being down for a number of months, which he will be. Hartenstein's back, which is interesting.
Yeah, right? That's why I watched it. I watched Isaiah. Yeah.
So let's talk about gamesmanship in the NBA. This is something you wanted to talk about that you dropped into the chat. When I go to games and I sit in the coaches pre-game press conference, and players will often ask, or media members will ask, Coach, what's the lineup tonight? Whatever. And it's like they're all coaches do the same shit. They always play some kind of fun game. Oh yeah, I got an idea who it's going to be. I won't tell you that until whatever. And then like literally 5 minutes later, the team hands out the sheet with who's starting. I'm like, why couldn't you just tell us 5 minutes ago who was starting? Like, it's not like, I'm waiting to find out. No, with 5 minutes before it's due officially for the league, you already know who's playing. But for whatever reason, coaches like to play these funny little games and not say who and not do what. What did you want to say about sort of this idea of gamesmanship that teams do?
Yeah,
with injury
it's
reports.
Just the transparency is a little bit weird to me, where they know a shoot around that day.
Of course,
normally. There are exceptions, of course, but normally not. Normally, if a player can't get through shoot around pain free,
right?
It'd be different if it's the second out of back to back. They're not doing walkthroughs, but if they are, they know if you're in their rotation or not, and they can just say it. It's an area I think the league can get better at, where you just stop. If you know the guy's going to play, just let us know you're going to play. Because people are gambling on games.
Well, there's that piece. Right.
I mean, I know as you know, I know when a player is playing before they announce it.
Because they will tell you. The player will tell you, are you playing or not? Right.
Or one of his teammates will, or the coaches will. But, I mean, anyone can check my records. I don't gamble on any of that shit. I don't know how I'd feel. Just because he's going to play, maybe the odds haven't shown it. The NBA is a weird, I think it's very hard to pick anything.
It is.
But meanwhile, it's a huge business for them. Mm-hmm. So I'd rather be transparent than not. Mm-hmm. If you don't know, then make it be truthful. You really don't know.
Yeah.
But if he's in shoot around and he's doing fine, he's going to play.
Coaches in their silly games they like to play. Jeff Stotts tweeted yesterday, David, that following Tuesday's games, the total of games lost to injury or illness in the NBA passed the 1,000 mark. That didn't happen until November 28th last year. Now, you mentioned the season probably did start a little bit earlier or later last year. So, that could be why.
I thought so.
But also, regardless, that's an alarming number when we are only in November, right? It's not like we're in December. Like, it's November and we're already at 1,000. And before we came on today, Shams just tweeted out that Luka Doncic has a wrist injury and he's going to miss sometime. The nebulous sometime. I don't know what that means. Could be a day, could be a week, could be 2. No idea. This is where we're at as a league, right? We've been talking about this, seems like all the time. The teams that recognize, well, this is the grind, and we have to do it because the situation isn't going to change. 82 games is what we have, and until that changes, we have to manage it. Let's rotate and keep our guys as fresh as possible. I brought up the stat on Monday, and I thought it's still surprising to me. Golden State Warriors have no players who are averaging more than 28 minutes a game.
It's amazing. It's an astounding stat.
Not one. The Knicks have 5 who average more than 33. Well, I mean, I don't know what else to say beyond that, right? The teams that...
Nothing. Let's not say anything else. Let's just keep tracking it. Let's just keep tracking the missed games, and we'll see what happens to come postseason.
Something you wanted to talk about, David. LeBron is going off of social media. An ESPN report said that his announcement came one day after he said, everyone on the internet called me a liar all the time, when he said he was watching Dalton Knecht's college games last year at Tennessee, long before the Lakers drafted him. And with that said, this is now James on social media. I'll holler at y'all. getting on social media for the time being. Y'all take care. And, I will say this about LeBron. So the idea about everybody calling me a liar because I watched, when I said I watched Dalton's games. So LeBron does have a habit of, in public forum settings and clips that end up on the media, of telling tales that people are like, we're not sure that's true, right? As the kids would say, cap, that he's lying, right? About whatever he's saying, right? It'll be something like, oh, I was playing Madden or whatever, and I did this thing. That's the same play that Sean McVay. LeBron, stop it. Like that. No, that's not it. Like, he does these things where people are always like, are you sure that's what really happened? Or are you just telling tales? So this is a thing for LeBron, right? So maybe he did watch Dalton Knecht. I don't know. But I could see why he gets annoyed, because if he was telling the truth this time, it's like, yeah, but you kind of earned it, because you often say things that people often push back. I'm like, we don't think that's true. But why he's off social media, I don't know.
Okay, that's what I want to find out. Is I didn't know any of those things you said.
Yeah.
I don't follow. I just follow the game. So I had no idea of anything else. I do believe he watched Dalton Knecht. I think he watched a lot of basketball.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah. I just think, guys like him, I've been with players, they just can't not watch it. They love it so much. And Tennessee was really good last year.
Very good.
And it's fun. It's fun. College games are just, it's like watching a car wreck all the time, but people are cheering all the time. Yeah, it's fun. But I just was curious why he jumped off, because I'm off of Twitter and have been for quite a while now. Fuck that guy.
It could also be because Twitter is just like this awful place now, right? And he's like, I don't even want to be on here anymore.
It's just a terrible app. Yeah, it's just terrible people on it. So, I was just curious about that.
Yeah.
We got to get to our top five.
Top five, David. Ooh, okay. On the 5 line for you.
I've got 2 teams.
Okay. Who are they?
Is that okay? I'm not suspended.
No, you're good. You're good.
I've got the Lakers.
Ooh.
I think the Lakers they've done well. Okay. And then one of the hottest teams in the league is the Rockets.
Listen,
Houston 8-2 last 10.
On my 5 line, I was going to say, for the first time in true hoop history, because they have not been that good since we've been doing this podcast. So, first time ever, Houston Rockets, 5th.
Yeah, Şengün's really good.
He's so good.
Big fan.
And I think Jalen Green's getting better. I think he's starting to.
I haven't checked his metric lately. I liked what I saw from him last night. All right, number 4, I did a flip-flop.
Okay.
I could show you on my little Japanese thing. It's a little flip-flop arrow. I had Golden State.
Okay.
And then I realized, you know what? They played a pretty tough schedule compared to the Thunder, who have done fine without Chet. I dropped the Thunder to 4.
Yeah, David, we are mind-melding like nobody's business. 4? Yeah, of course, Thunder.
And then
which means 3 we have the Warriors.
Celtics,
correct.
Cleveland.
I actually flip-flop Cleveland and Boston only because
because Boston beat them.
Yes, only because in the head-to-head, I'm like, all right, in the head-to-head you did win, so I'll give you that just for now for the head-to-head. So don't worry.
You beat Toronto in overtime.
Listen, next week when it switches, I'll probably switch them back. But since they won head-to-head, like I did, because Warriors beat the Thunder head-to-head, that's why I flip-flopped them.
There's nothing wrong with doing that. Yeah. Those are so we got 6 teams right now. We got to track Denver a little bit. They're right there. For me anyway, they are. It's just the Jokic thing. Knicks have won some games. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's see what happens there. Yeah, we're a long way. We're still a long way to go.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, look, we know we should track, David. I'll look back at it. What our first couple weeks top 5 were, and then what our top 5 is like towards the end of the season.
What was the first week? Because I keep my
first week was I think two weeks ago.
October. No. So here's. Well, I thought I was keeping track. Did we not? It may have started on Halloween.
Yeah, probably. That's about right. That might have been right.
Hold on. My top 5 are Dallas 5, Golden State 4, Cavs 3, Boston 2, OKC 1.
There we go. Okay.
So 4 of those are the same. The Mavs have fallen a little bit.
Mavs have fallen. Rockets are in now.
Net rating, the Mavs are doing good.
As are the Knicks. Also excellent net rating.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Enjoy the weekend, and we will see you next week. Take care.